Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of the CCEA Podcast. My name is Kristan Nigro, and I am your host. I am here with some wonderful educators that are here from across the Clark County School District, and they actually come from all different places. So I'm going to jump in. I'd like to introduce each and every one of you and welcome you. The first one we have is Douglas Hamilton, first grade teacher at Sunrise Acres. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. We also have Angie Joy, who is a second grade teacher at Mountain View. Welcome. Thank you for being here again, because I know these Friday vibes. I said, but we are here. We are here strong. We also have Ryan Fisher. Ryan Fisher works at Del Sol Academy of Performing Arts. He is a self-contained teacher. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We also have Daniel Tops, Del Sol Arts and Del Sol Academy of Performing Arts. He is the Arts and Humanities and Video Broadcasting teacher. Thank you for being here. And lastly, but not least, we do have Miss Charlotte Brigham. She is a third grade teacher at Steve Shore Elementary School, along with me. Yes. Welcome. We're so happy to have you guys here.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. So let's talk about this, guys. So why did we call this to order? Why did we have you all come down on a Friday afternoon? I know traffic was crazy. It was crazy. I got stuck over on the 215. But here we are. Why are we here? Well, we're going to have a conversation surrounding what's going on with the superintendent of Clark County School District, as well as what's going to happen moving forward. There's a lot of interesting things happening. So first things first, I want to jump right into it. I want to know, based on what you guys know, and again, this isn't, you don't have to raise your hands or anything. This is just, we're having a conversation, and we just want to get these opinions from across the board. But what are we feeling when it comes to, or I guess, what did the district learn when we talk about the JARA experience? Anybody want to take that one or share your thoughts and feelings about that one?
So I feel like probably the first thing we learned is why we're here right now, which is that the next superintendent has to be held much more accountable for what they do, and the community and us have to be much more involved in that process and what that looks like, and making them aware that each step of the way that the decisions you make are going to be subject to justified criticism by us, and that we're going to seek accountability if you aren't delivering the results for our students or if you're embarrassing our district.
Yeah. Well, and that's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because when we talk about embarrassment, truly, like the last many years that we've had him, it has been an embarrassment. And I see, Angie, I see you shaking your head. Tell me about your thoughts about this JARA experience.
I feel like, touching on what he said, the accountability piece. As educators, we are held to the highest standards of accountability. People always want to talk about our test scores and everything going on in our classrooms. We have countless evaluations, formal, informal, people popping in to see what we're doing. But that also needs to go for our superintendent. There have been many points where we don't know what he's doing, why decisions are being made, what decisions are being made. He decided to have a roundtable discussion with the community during negotiations, but he never decided to sit down with the actual educators that it was affecting. That was a slap in the face.
Definitely.
So that piece of accountability and being able to have that honest communication. Trust has been broken in this district between the teachers union and CCSD, between the community and CCSD.
Right.
Parents didn't know what was going on. They didn't know if they'd have teachers to start the school year. They knew that it wasn't fair, whatever was holding up our pay, and no one really knew what was going on. And just that piece of honest, transparent communication and not the half-truths that were going on. To see email communications or things in the media. I was also the chairperson for negotiations, and we were held to a strict line of compliance of not sharing what was going on in negotiations. Right. And then on a Friday to see an email come out or to see something on the news and to think, oh my gosh, that's not how that happened. That's not what was said. That's only a piece of the communication. That was very disheartening, and it makes you feel like you can't trust your own employer.
Yeah, no, and absolutely, that's true. Those Friday emails were wicked. Like, and and you always knew it was coming, but yet it would really just be so chaotic when you would hop onto social media, and it would just be like fire. It would be so crazy. So, Shar, what do you think about this? The JARA experience. I want to get your take on that.
Absolutely. We're not here for another superintendent to make a name for themselves. We don't want someone who's here to make a name for themselves, but to give a name to the educators who have dedicated years of our lives. Like, I'm in the district 18 years, dedicating years of my life in the trenches with kids, and as educators, every day we're breaking through obstacles to provide opportunities for our kids. So we need someone who's committed to doing that, not just doing photo ops or videotaping themselves going into classrooms where everybody's smiling and everything's perfect and fine.
Right.
Like Angie was saying, we need someone who's going to get feedback directly from educators and understand what the challenges are on a day-to-day basis. We are dealing with real obstacles, and we need support, and we need to be given a voice to help make, good decisions to set our kids up for success.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, and not just as teachers, but just as a whole district in a community, we really have to decide what our end game is. What is our priorities? Like, are we here to take kids from the classroom to the casino floor? I mean, if that's what you choose, that's great. I mean, that's what runs our economy here.
Right.
But kids should have options. Their only option shouldn't be working at the casino. We need to set them up for success so that they can be lifelong learners, recognizing their strengths and their power and their humanity to be contributors to the global society. And we have kids from all over the world here in CCSD. We have a very diverse population.
Oh, we do.
Many different languages, and we need to, utilize those strengths and set up kids for success.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just tired of the lip service.
Yes, the lip service
and
is
not
so big.
really making choices that set teachers and kids up for success, and recognizing that putting teachers first, prioritizing teachers, is prioritizing kids, because it falls from the head down. If we're stressed out and we don't have the resources we need, the kids feel that.
Very much.
That affects the kids directly.
Yeah. And you bring up, that's a super huge point of contention with me. Like the other day, I'll give you an example. I was super stressed out from just, things that are going on in my educational world. And I had to stop and actually take a moment during my prep to be like, whoa, get yourself together, because you are creating undue stress. Like, these kids don't need that. And so I had to have a pep talk with myself. I haven't done that in a while, but it was refreshing. And and it's just everything that's all balled into one piece. Daniel, I'm going to send it to you real quick. I wanted to ask you, what do educators in Clark County, because I know you hear from people, you're pretty active. What do the educators in Clark County want to see from this next administration? What's important to them? What are you thinking?
I think if I can give a one-word answer, transparency.
Oh, that's a big one. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, being in this district now for 6 years, being someone that really never had, I guess you say, aspirations to be a teacher, right? That wasn't on my list of goals, when I was going through college and whatnot. And yet somehow I still ended up here anyway.
I love it.
And I've loved it since. And I could give a shout out to my dad for that. He'll be happy I called him out on that one. But, transparency is huge, especially after this last regime. I got into this district as a substitute right as Jar was coming in. And over the last, what was he there for 7 years, 8 years?
Yeah, he was
Something along
here
those lines.
for maybe a little less.
How many times do we look at what's going on? We talk about the Friday emails. We talk about all these things that Jara did, or I guess didn't, for lack thereof, didn't do, and we don't know what's going on. We're not told the truth. We're just fed lies, propaganda constantly. We're told one thing, another thing happens. It's just give us a regime, or give us, people at the top that are actually transparent. Here's what we're going to do.
Right.
Here's how we're going to achieve it. And then we set out to actually achieve those goals together. Instead of it being so much of a constant battle, it seems like, with being a teacher or being, superintendent or regional superintendent, whatever you want to call it, let's actually work together on things for once. Let's actually make this district better and help our kids, help our teachers, help the people in this district.
Yeah, well, and the partnership piece is huge, right? So when you think about being in this district, I always feel, at least in my heart, I feel that it's very much us against them. It always feels like that. Do you guys feel the same?
Yes.
Like, I just, when I think about even sometimes at the site level, when you're there and it's like, hey, I want to do X, Y, and Z, and it doesn't have to be our site, and it doesn't have to be used as an example, but I'm just saying, you hear all the time from educators, they're like, I wanted to bring this really cool, innovative thing, but they don't want me to do it because X, Y, and Z. But it's, Why are we not working together to create a partnership to do what's best for kids? And that's what it comes back to. Why are we in this profession? We do this profession. It's not for the clout. It's not because we're millionaires, because that's certainly not it, even though after this wonderful raise, thank you so much, negotiations. But I will say, we do this for the kids. I can tell you that, I know it might sound cliche, but honestly, to watch that growth even in kindergarten, it's incredible. I have a little girl at ELL that's, kind of sidebar combo, but she wasn't even talking in English. Like, it was very much, she was very behind. She's just popped, and she's just flying right now. And the amount of pride that I have to experience that is incredible. As far as thank you, Daniel, for sharing that. Thank you. I want to throw it over to Ryan. Ryan, same question. You guys are at the same school. So
Yeah.
what are you hearing? What's going on? What are they looking for?
I think, it's a very complex issue. I have a fairly simple answer. I just think that this community and the district needs a superintendent that's going to actually prioritize our students and our educators. It was pretty apparent, during the last, regime or whatever you want to call them, that was not the case. And
Right.
the community is suffering. This community deserves better. As a proud Las Vegan, as a proud Nevadan, it really disappointed me. So
Yeah.
I just want somebody that's going to prioritize the community rather than maybe personal interests or
Yeah.
other things like that.
Yeah. You guys have similar thoughts on that? Yeah. Anybody want to speak to that?
I think to add, what do educators in Clark County want in the next superintendent? A couple of the conversations that keep coming up among my colleagues is, one of them is, the next superintendent has actually received a serious assist from our union, and that's, we've done a lot to close that gap between how educators are valued and what they're paid, right? So we've
Right.
helped assist you on that end. But we have to take seriously the quality of life issues that affect teaching. The vacancy rate in Clark County for teachers has increased 10 times since Jara was hired.
That's concerning.
And we can't be successful with that. There was a point, earlier this year where Jara went into a school talking about accountability in a school that had no licensed or almost no licensed math teachers. And if we don't have licensed personnel in the building, then you're not having educators build their instructional capacity.
Right.
And when you talk to educators, it really is that there are quality of life issues, and they have been made worse by instructional decisions that the superintendent's regime has made,
Yes.
by expectations that they have set that are unrealistic for what we can do with our time. We have a 7-hour and 11-minute contract, and we all get this. Teaching isn't a 9-to-5 job.
Right.
But it's impossible to have a reasonable home life and a reasonable personal life and be there for our kids to the capacity that they need us to, and to accomplish all of these other things that they expect, when really the core of it is, we are teachers, and the thing we do best is teach kids.
Yes.
And not 50 other things.
Right. Well, and that goes to one of, I think right off the bat, is one of our legislative priorities for this next session. We're going to be talking about what do we do in order to increase our minutes to help these kids get more instructional time and kind of reduce the burden of these non-instructional duties that we're doing, these administration, these parent calls, these different things that we're all required to do, and it's just burning up so much time. And like you just said, that's a good point. When you talk about your quality of life of what you're experiencing, before we got this historic contract, and you guys know this, how hard we fought for this. It is unreal to know how many people, and not just myself. I mean, Shar, I worked my tail off. I mean, I have had my hand in every pot in the district, whether it's onboarding, whether it's homebound, whether it's tutoring. I mean, I worked jobs outside of that too. That is insane, and it shouldn't be required. And so when you're talking about what do we want to see in the next administration, someone that's going to work with us, not fight against us every time we're up for a contract. So that's crazy. Angie, what were you going to say?
Going along the same lines as what he was saying, our quality of life issues. The fact that we had to reach out to lawmakers to
good
get
point.
changes made in the district because nobody was listening to us and we're on the front lines. That is huge. We need someone that's ready to focus on the hard to target issues because we
Yeah.
talk about accountability.
Right.
Most of us show up to work most days because we receive a paycheck for showing up to work,
Right,
and
yes.
that's how we get paid.
Right.
Okay? Test scores are more than just what we're doing in front of the students. Okay?
Right.
When we have huge truancy issues, attendance issues.
That's a good
okay,
point.
I can't teach a child that doesn't come. And when a child, like, I pull the attendance records to see about RTI for my school for all of second grade, I'm seeing numbers like 40, 39,
Ooh, yeah, that's a
27.
lot.
When you're in elementary, when you're learning to decode words, when you're learning to put sounds together, to blend all of the components of reading, which will be tested on shortly, you can't master those skills if you don't come to school. So I'm tired of the buck always being passed to teachers. Oh, well, the teachers aren't good enough. The teachers aren't being trained. We're trained.
Yeah.
Most of us have several degrees and CUs on top of that.
That's right.
But we need someone that's going to target these hard issues, like the accountability piece of having students at school. Also, behavior.
Oh, that's a big
It's
one.
hard to teach when no one is being accountable for behavior, or as we frequently see on Instagram and Facebook Reels, where the child that's having the most problems leaves and comes back with the lollipop.
Ooh, that is irritating.
That doesn't solve the problem. That does not allow me to teach. We need better solutions than what's happening now, and we need someone that's ready to target those issues and listen to the teachers as we're sharing the different issues that's going on in all of our different schools.
Yeah.
And last thing, bad men. I love to call them bad men. The bad admin that's out there.
Admin.
Bad men.
I like it. That's good.
I was just reached out to a J1, and that's, for those of you that don't know, that's someone that's been brought over from the Philippines to teach, and they're often put in the worst teaching situations,
Right.
situations that the rest of us won't choose. These poor J1s that come from a different culture where I just got to be honest and got to be real. The expectations for behavior are different, and there's some sort of accountability piece going on over there that's not going on over here. So when they get here, they're shocked and they're not supported. So I was contacted by a J1 regarding another teacher at a school that's been given some very negative performance evaluations and doesn't know what to do. You know what I mean?
Interesting, yeah.
And it's coming from a school that has someone that has been labeled a bad admin, someone that's not there supporting teachers. And we have to have better leadership in place at our school sites to support us in the hard work that we do.
Yeah. That's a very big one, because you look to your leaders in the building, and if you don't have leaders in the building, what do you do? I mean, So, Shar, go ahead.
I was just going to say, to piggyback off what Angie was saying, we need a superintendent who's going to get to the root cause of issues and not place Band-Aids.
Yes.
Like Angie was saying, attendance is a huge thing, but we have a huge busing problem. We can't even get our kids to school. I have 2 children currently in the district. I have 3 altogether. My oldest graduated from the district already. But we have high schoolers where several high schools, their busing was canceled because we do not have enough bus drivers to get kids to school. So the Band-Aid fix was to put all of those students on the city bus, and CCSD is paying for all of those students to have a monthly bus pass to ride the bus. Now, we already know that we have a truancy issue.
Right.
And now this enables high school children to go anywhere in the city
Oh, that works well.
without permission. And so, and kids are not feeling safe. My own children, I have a freshman and a senior, do not feel safe riding the city bus with the general population. So this further compounds truancies and tardies, and we're not fixing the issue. We still don't have enough buses. And for those routes that weren't canceled for elementary kids, those buses are still continuously late
Yes,
on
they are.
a regular, and so those kids are late to school and missing instruction. And so if we're not getting to the root causes, we're putting Band-Aids on it. And then we have overcrowding in a lot of the high schools. Students do not want to be in a situation where there's no room to eat lunch. There are high schoolers who stand daily to eat lunch. There are students at the middle school and the high school level who have different lunch times throughout the week to fit everyone in the cafeteria. And so when we have that overcrowding, we do not have an environment conducive to students, especially at the secondary level, who want to be in that environment.
Yeah.
So what do? They miss and
Yeah.
they skip.
Yeah.
So we've got to get to the root causes and fix things instead of putting Band-Aids on them.
Wow, that's concerning. And I know you and I have talked about this a lot, and I've told you the past, Shar, I think you need to bring that to the Board of Trustees meeting during public comment at one time. I really do think that's really important because that's scary, right? Think about this. We have what was the one thing you told me? And I can tell you right now, the thing that just exploded in my brain is that what about human trafficking out here? And we're putting our children on they're still children, right? I mean, they could be teenagers. They're still kids in my eyes. The fact that we're putting these kids on buses is scary. And again, Band-Aids, that's what it's about. We need to find a superintendent that is going to come to the 5th largest school district and actually take charge and work with us as a partner rather than constantly trying to divide and conquer. That's enough. Like, I can't do it anymore, right? I'm so sick of seeing it. Like, it's a problem when the people that I lived with back in Western New York, Buffalo, New York, that are getting a hold of me going, Kristan, oh my God, what is going on in your district? Like, that's embarrassing. I want us to be able to be proud. And trust me, we have so many good things that are going on in these schools, all the way from elementary, all the way to high school. And the fact that we are clouded by this big rainy cloud of all the negativity that comes out of the district is concerning. And so we need someone that's going to be strong and it's going to lead strong. So, absolutely. Did you want to add on that, round that out? Yeah, please do.
I mean, I was just going to kind of, onto your point, it's a disconnect.
Yeah.
And what we really need in there, and I wasn't sure like what we can say and what we can't say while we were on here. No, I don't want to like ruffle any feathers.
No, you're
we're
good.
Right? Well, you said bad. What did you say? Call them badmen?
Yes.
I gotta say we're pretty lucky at our school for the most
Yeah.
part with our admin. We do like them. We do enjoy them. We do think they do a really good job. But there's such a disconnect between a lot of teachers, their admin, and central office, right?
Yeah.
Especially obviously with Jara. And we really need a superintendent who is going to think like a teacher.
Oh, good
And
point.
that's the issue. Really, when I think about it, it's like, when was the last time Jesus Jara was in a classroom?
Oh, it's been a long time.
When was the last
I don't know.
time Brenda Larson Mitchell was in a classroom with children? And I've heard some stories from teachers that I know
Right.
that worked with her or actually
Yes.
were taught by her, and they're not positive stories. I can tell you that much.
That's scary.
right? And I know it's a joke, or kind of a running joke, that a lot of times in this district people fail upwards.
That's a good point. Actually,
You
I've never
know?
thought of it like that. Yes.
And how many people in our central office that have worked under JAR were people that are only there because they couldn't actually teach in a classroom?
That's a good
Most of
point.
us, we teach in a classroom because we enjoy it. We like getting to see our kids
Love it.
move forward, learn new things, and grow. We like to see them graduate, We enjoy that. We get a sense of, whatever it might be.
It's
right?
that proud
Responsibility,
feeling.
a proudness
I'm telling
to it,
you.
right?
Yes, Daniel.
So we need somebody in there that's actually, don't think like a politician, don't think like a bureaucrat, think like a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
What is going to help teachers the most is what is going to help our students the most.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good quality to have. Yeah, absolutely. Ryan, go ahead.
My bad, Judy. Just kind of touching on what they said, I think another priority has to be school safety. If a student is not feel safe in school, how are we going to expect them
Ooh, that's
to
a big one.
perform? Same thing with teachers. If a teacher isn't safe in their school, how are they expected to go and teach to their full ability? I think this also leads to some of the truancy issues. Kids aren't feeling safe, so they're just not showing up. Obviously this is a big issue that probably goes beyond the reach of, what we can accomplish maybe in the district. But I think that has to be a priority is the safety of our schools.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll lead to more students coming to school. And I think it also lead to more teachers, joining and staying in the profession. Teachers have had negative experiences at school where they don't feel safe and they think, I'm going to go to a job where I don't have to come to school and feel like, I'm at risk of getting hurt or something.
Yeah. Okay, so I will say that is a huge piece I've heard from a lot of educators throughout this fight, when we had this contract fight. And it's scary to think the things that they've gone through. I know in my own experience, I had a student that took adult scissors off of my desk and opened them and hunted me like an animal and threw them at my face. And that was the final straw. We got her the help that she needed. But I don't ever remember, in all the jobs I've worked in my life, having to worry about whether or not I was going to have an artery cut by a pair of scissors from a 5-year-old. That's not normal. and that's not normal for mental health. That's not normal for other students to witness that. So the safety piece is a huge piece, and I'm really glad you brought that up.
I will say though, at our school specifically, we have increased our security quite a bit. We've added more CSMs, more people, to handle discipline and things like that, mental health people. So they have done it this year. I've seen a significant increase, which is very it's comforting.
Oh, that's good. That is good, because a safe place is a safe place to learn. I mean, you can't. It's really hard to really, teach those foundational skills when you have a lot of scary things happening. When you're just supposed to ignore it, just keep going.
Which is happening at a lot of other schools.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I want us to kind of round out our time together. I wanted to focus, if you guys could think about it for a moment, what things need to happen in order, like we've talked about, obviously we need someone who's not going to just put a Band-Aid over. We need someone who's going to work on safety. We need someone who's going to be a partner. All these things that we talked about when we're looking at what does it look like to have a good, strong superintendent here in the Clark County School District. What needs to happen for those things to occur here in Clark County? What needs to happen?
So I think it starts with a national search, right? And it
Big
starts
time.
with ensuring the conversation, again, that comes up when you talk with colleagues is that there's been some very concerning comments from board members since Jar has been fired that indicate it touches on the structural issues, right? Where they're like, well, these are structural problems that we can't really address.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem, and that really, like, you get the sense that many on the board think we're going in the right direction and we need to keep doing those same things.
Good point, Douglas.
And we have 6 years that indicate that those things are not working and they are not effective. So we need to look outside of the district. Administrators who have learned to administrate under JAR at that level, at that central office level, should not be in a position to continue the policies which have failed our students, which have failed our educators, which have failed our parents and our communities. We need to bring someone in who has been effective elsewhere in similar situations, similar economic problems, similar socioeconomic issues that have confronted them. The truancy issues, the safety issues, they are national. But JAR has been uniquely ineffective. And so rather than looking at people who have only learned how to do it from someone that was ineffective at it, we need to go look at people who have learned how to do it somewhere where it has been more effective. Yes, there are structural issues facing education in this country, but there are people who are doing a better job handling it and a worse job. And we just got done with the guy who did the worst job handling it.
Yes. I mean, we're talking about the same guy. Remember, he gave us a snow day when it was 65 degrees out. I mean, I always like to bring that up because that's funny. Sorry. Ryan, go ahead. Were you wanting to add? Oh, okay. Char?
Totally agree. That's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Yes.
And then just to add, we need someone who's fiscally responsible.
Good point.
Who I've been in the district 18 years, and we have gone through so many different test vendors, curriculums, just to throw the baby out with the bathwater and start again a couple years later. And that's a lot of waste over the years. So just, again, doing something different, which means a national search, because we can't keep doing the same things we've been doing. It's been ineffective.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're going to have their meeting, I believe we talked about this, Wednesday, right? Is that when it is? They're discussing, what it's going to look like for the next search for the superintendent. I agree. I don't think it needs to be anybody that's from inside CCSD, because technically they were all under the same cabinet. And if we're looking at that, where has our school gone during that time? I mean, honestly, truly. I mean, we have struggled. We have lost loads of educators. We've had people get hurt really bad, all under, as you guys were saying, under that regime. And that's scary. Angie?
So just this past weekend, I was fortunate enough to get to speak to the president of Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland, my alma mater.
Oh, cool.
For undergrad. Yes,
Nice.
He came out because we have a very large donor that lives here in Las Vegas, Mr. Calvin Tyler, and it was for Black History Month.
That's awesome.
And Morgan State has grown tremendously in the time since I've been there, fiscally, with students, just everything has just been booming. It's been amazing. So I took a moment to ask him. I said, Dr. Wilson, our school district is in need of a strong superintendent. And, we have been damaged. We're all feeling the hurt and the pain, and it's just bad. And I asked him what he thought would be a good starting point or some advice. And what he was saying is, of course, you need to look nationally.
Yes.
That a firm will be hired to help look for this person. But it goes beyond that. You know, you're not necessarily looking for the person that say thirsty for a superintendent's job. You know, you're going to look at someone that's doing great things somewhere, and then you're going to sit down and have dinner with that person and let them know how wonderful Clark County is, and that maybe they should think about coming to our district and giving it a shot. It's not necessarily like the kid that's like, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me, because that comes with problems, okay?
It sure does.
And we were warned about Jara, but somehow that message got slid under the table, okay? So that's what it takes. It takes someone that's doing it well somewhere else, and for us to make the ask, can you come to our district? What do you think about coming to Clark County and tackling some of these tough issues that you don't necessarily see all around the country? We've got a lot of different things going on in our district, as many of you have mentioned, from truancy. We've got, safety. The pipeline from school to casino that goes on here.
Right.
We also, it's a very transient population too. Many people, working collar families, come to build the casinos, and then when work is gone, they leave. So there's a lot of different things going on here. So we really have to come together, and that transparency piece. Someone that's willing to come and possibly clean house. That's something that may need to happen. Like, I want to know what those new 7 assistant superintendents that were hired, what y'all doing up there? I need to know. I mean, and how is it affecting our students? Why is it positive? Because if I don't even know your names, then that's the problem. Because I work in this district with our students every day.
Yes.
So that's what I was thinking about.
Oh, and that's exactly. I mean, I feel like all of us are on the same page when it comes to that. Is it has to be national. It comes back to that. Can't be anybody in house. It's got to be national. I love the idea of actually sitting down and bragging about our district, because again, there's some great things going on. There are a lot of great things going on in here, and so. But when you just kind of like, well, maybe this person will be the best person. No, that's not how that works. And to just think that we can just take one piece and put them in the position, terrible idea. So anybody have any closing thoughts about this last piece before we wrap up?
I have a closing thought. Oh, did you want to say something? Sorry.
No, I don't think I got the mic drop in me necessarily. I was just going to say you made some great points, just about. Yeah, right. I think a lot of times people outside of our district, when they look at us and they see our rates and our, what our levels are at, we always get a bad reputation, right? Like, oh, what are we now? 49th or 48th or 47th in whatever category we're in. And people don't realize the struggles that this district faces with that whole idea of we are one of the few cities still where you can just get a high school education, or maybe not even a high school education, and still get a job that actually pays you decent on the strip, with our casinos. And we need to get rid of the incompetency in central office and do a nationwide search. And we really need parents involved too.
Yeah, that's a good point. All stakeholders involved.
A lot of parents, not to say they don't care about their kids' education, they do, but they really don't understand like what's at stake when you have a changeover like we're about to have with Jar being removed or resigning and getting a new superintendent. It's important that we put somebody in that is going to make positive changes in the district rather than try to stick to the old status quo and just worry about himself and the people that are under him so that they can make all the money and leave the crumbs for the rest of us.
Right. Shar?
So I was just to round it out, I was just going to say our tagline, and Jara signed his email with this, is "We are CCSD."
Yes.
That speaks to our reputation. What does that mean? And, what does that speak to? And our superintendent, whoever we pick, will determine that. What are our priorities?
Yes.
Are we prioritizing educating kids who have a future to succeed and have choices?
Yes.
Because we are all interconnected, and the choices that our kids make affect the world.
Yes.
And so we are CCSD, but let's put something behind that. Let's build a reputation that is a good one.
Right. That makes people want to come here.
Let's
and
make
work
it mean something.
Yes, and it's not just empty words. Exactly. Well, guys, I want to say thank you so much for coming out on this Friday after. Well, I guess it's almost evening now, but you guys have just such great perspective coming from all different parts of the district. I really do hope as we sit here today, March 1st. Is it March 1st? It's March 1st, yes. I am like, I've lost track. This year has been so long. But I really hope when we look back on this episode that we are looking at strong leadership. We have someone in the superintendent seat that is going to take us to the next level. That is so important. Our kids are the number one priority here. And I just want to make sure that everybody out there in CCSD land knows that it's not just all about our educator problems. We've got a laundry list, but at the same time, those problems, it's so hard to deal with those and also raise and educate the future of America, right?
Opportunities for growth.
Yes, absolutely. And so, again, I want to say thank you. You guys have been great. You bring great perspective. Any closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
I can say one thing that I think is a positive, just since we're in the CCEA office.
Yes.
A teacher, coach of mine, or coach, a guy I coach with, recently reached out after seeing our new salary table and our new contract.
Yes.
Who left the district and was talking about, might be time to come back. So,
Wow.
Big win, big ups for CCA for, getting that done. And
Definitely.
that's what's good. We're going to see that happen a lot more now because of the contract. People are going to actually want to teach here.
Yes.
So it just goes hand in hand with
Oh, that's so
why the
awesome.
new, superintendent is so important, because we want the people that do come here because of
stay.
the new contract and the new benefits that we're going to be having as teachers to stay.
Yes.
You
Yes, that's really cool. I'm glad you brought that up. I can't wait, because you know what? It's so funny when you talk about strategy and everything that JV does when he talks about what our strategy is going to be. This guy, he is 100% every time. He doesn't miss. Like, honest to God, he's like, we're going to get people in here. We're going to be competitive. And what's happening? We're getting people to start coming in, applying for these jobs. And every single one of these kids deserves a licensed educator in front of them. Again, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate y'all being here. To my CCSD world, my CCEA friends out there, make sure you follow our Instagram. We are very active on Instagram. We love to, respond and talk to everybody on there. But thank you so much for being with us today. And we hope you have a wonderful spring break. And we will be back soon. Thank you so much.